Namaskarams and good morning to everybody. It's a great pleasure for me to welcome you all to this webinar today conducted by the School of Music and Fine Arts Vistas. This is our sixth webinar in the series Music and Dance Learning from Research and Experience, and this is our first national webinar. I would like to invite you all very warmly to this webinar, a special webinar today. We would like to commence this webinar with the invocation Tamil Thai Varthu.
நீராறும் கடலொடுத்த நிலமடந்தை கெழிலொழுகும் சீராறும் வதனமென திகழ்பரத கண்டமிதி தெக்கணமும் அதிர் சிறந்த திராவிடனல் திருநாடும் தக்க சிறு திரை முதலும் தரித்தனரும் திலகமுமே அத்திலக வாசனை போல் அனைத்துலகும் இன்பமுற எத்திசையும் புகழ் மணக்க இருந்த பெரும் தமிழனங்கே தமிழனங்கே உன் சீரிழமை திறம்பி என்று செய்ய மறந்து வாழ்த்துதுமே வாழ்த்துதுமே வாழ்த்துதுமே.
I would now like to request our director, Dr. S. Subbalakshmi Madam, to deliver the welcome address.
Good morning. Welcome to the national webinar conducted by the School of Music and Fine Arts Vistas. First of all, I would like to thank the management of Vistas for their kind support. I also thank the Vice Chancellor, Pro Vice Chancellor, Registrar and Controller of Examination of Vistas. We are proud to announce that the School of Music and Fine Arts is going to release Wales Fine Arts e-journal. The first copy of that e-journal will be received by our Vice Chancellor of Vistas, Dr. S. Sriman Narayanan. I thank Vice Chancellor for his acceptance and release. I welcome and thank Dr. S. N. Sushila from Bangalore University, Dr. Dwarita Vishwanatha from Karnataka, and Dr. Maya Rajesh from Kerala for their presentation in this national webinar. Thank you.
From the School of Music and Fine Arts, Dr. S. Subbalakshmi Madam had released a song on coronavirus awareness. We would like to take a few minutes today to listen to that song, and I would like to thank the producers of this song for associating them with our School of Music and Fine Arts.
அன்பு நிறைந்த மாந்தர்களே கேளுங்க, இந்த அரிய வகை நோய் கிருமியை விரட்டுங்க. அன்பு நிறைந்த மாந்தர்களே கேளுங்க, இந்த அரிய வகை நோய் கிருமியை விரட்டுங்க. மத்திய மாநில அரசு சொன்னதை கேளுங்க, மத்திய மாநில அரசு சொன்னதை கேளுங்க. மனிதநேயம் போற்றி என்றும் மகிழுங்க, மனிதநேயம் போற்றி என்றும் மகிழுங்க. அன்பு நிறைந்த மாந்தர்களே கேளுங்க, இந்த அரிய வகை நோய் கிருமியை விரட்டுங்க. வையகத்தில் வலம் தனையே காணுங்க, நம் வாழ்வாதாரம் ஒற்றுமையே தானுங்க. வையகத்தில் வலம் தனையே காணுங்க, நம் வாழ்வாதாரம் ஒற்றுமையே தானுங்க. வருங்காலம் வளமாயிருக்க வேணுங்க, வருங்காலம் வளமாயிருக்க வேணுங்க. சமூக இடைவெளியில் இருந்து நோயை வெல்லுங்க, சமூக இடைவெளியில் இருந்து நோயை வெல்லுங்க. அன்பு நிறைந்த மாந்தர்களே கேளுங்க, இந்த அரிய வகை நோய் கிருமியை விரட்டுங்க. காக்கும் மனித தெய்வம் யாருங்க, நம் மருத்துவரும் செவிலியரும் தானுங்க. மக்களை காக்கும் மனித தெய்வம் யாருங்க, நம் மருத்துவரும் செவிலியரும் தானுங்க. காவல்துறை சொல்படியே கேளுங்க, காவல்துறை சொல்படியே கேளுங்க. அது கடமை கண்ணியம் கட்டுப்பாடுதானுங்க, அதுவே கடமை கண்ணியம் கட்டுப்பாடுதானுங்க. அன்பு நிறைந்த மாந்தர்களே கேளுங்க, இந்த அரிய வகை நோய் கிருமியை விரட்டுங்க. அன்பு நிறைந்த மாந்தர்களே கேளுங்க, இந்த அரிய வகை நோய் கிருமியை விரட்டுங்க. மத்திய மாநில அரசு சொன்னதை கேளுங்க, மத்திய மாநில அரசு சொன்னதை கேளுங்க. மனிதநேயம் போற்றி என்று மகிழுங்க, மனிதநேயம் போற்றி என்று மகிழுங்க. அன்பு நிறைந்த மாந்தர்களே கேளுங்க, இந்த அரிய வகை நோய் கிருமியை விரட்டுங்க. வாழ்க வாழ்க பாரதம், வாழ்க வாழ்க தமிழகம், வாழ்க வாழ்க பாரதம், வாழ்க வாழ்க தமிழகம். வாழ்க வாழ்க தெய்வீகம், வாழ்க வாழ்க வையகம், வாழ்க வாழ்க பாரதம், வாழ்க வாழ்க தமிழகம், வாழ்க வாழ்க பாரதம், வாழ்க வாழ்க தமிழகம், வாழ்க வாழ்க தமிழகம், வாழ்க வாழ்க தமிழகம்.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Subbalakshmi Madam. Now we would like to go to the e-journal release. I would like to request our director, Dr. S. Subbalakshmi Madam, to release our first Wales Fine Arts Journal, the e-journal to be released today, volume 1 for November 2020. Dr. S. Sriman Narayanan, Vice Chancellor of Vistas, will be receiving the first copy. Thank you, madam. Thank you, sir, for accepting our invitation to receive the first copy of the e-journal. It is a great honor to have you here with us for the webinar. Now, I would like to invite our first panelist for today, Dr. S.N. Sushila. She is a professor of music and chairperson of the Department of Performing Arts, Bangalore University. Her topic today is Traces of Alapana in Sri Muthuswami Dikshitar's compositions with special reference to Raga Saveri. Welcome, madam.
Namaskara. Very good morning to all the August gathering here today. And I am most privileged to be amidst you to say a few words about the topic of traces of Raga Alapana in Sri Muthuswami Dikshitar's compositions. Before I would say anything, I will be failing in my duty if I don't thank one person, Dr. Subbulakshmi Madam from Wales University, Tamil Nadu, for giving me this finest opportunity to exchange my musical thoughts with you all. Because of constraint of time, I have been given just 15 minutes. I would like to jump straight away to the topic instead of explaining the origin, the evolution, the concept of raga and the different modes of analyzing raga and veda. All these things I am going to skip, and with one note I will start my speech. During the ancient times, must be during 1st century BC, Sri Bharatamuni wrote the text, the first ever text found to be in performing arts, that is dance, drama and music, Natya Shastra. So from the 28th to 33rd chapter, he has analyzed the musical aspect which prevailed during this time, Bharata's time. So he never uses the term raga there. Instead of raga, he uses the term jati. The first ever person or the musicologist, the great Matanga Muni, during the 7th century AD, in his Brahadeshi Grantham text, he has firstly used the term raga, Ranjapo Janachittanam. But the chitta is the culmination of the mind, human mind, heart and the brain. So it is not brain alone. Brain only perceives the nada, it only perceives. To go to the ecstasy and read the Sahasrara, we need to concentrate on chitta, the aspect of chitta. We know the word Chidanandam. So to derive the Chidanandam experience, we have to be very focused with respect to our chitta. So Matanamuni says very clearly, so which pleases the chitta. Music is also for entertainment and also for spiritual upliftment. So with this note, I am taking up the my main topic, Raga Saveri, Dikshitar's, Muthuswami Dikshitar's composition in the Raga Saveri set to Vidamba Rupaka. As all of us know, Raga Saveri is Audava Sampurna. The Arohana Avarahana is like this. Sari ma pa dha sa sa ni dha pa ma gari sa. One thing I would like to share with you all, perhaps many scholars will be knowing about it already. So when we say Saveri is a journey of Mayamala Gowda, it doesn't take the actual notes of Mayamala Gowda. Mayamala Gowda has a very straight notes. It is imbibed in Abhyasagana by Purandaradasa, Sri Purandaradasa. So when singing Saveri, we should not sing the Rishabha, though it is Shuddha Rishabha of Mayamala Gowda. We have to give certain gamgas or anuswaras. Sari, 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 Sari. It is not Re. It is Sari, Sari, Sari. Ma, pa, dha, sa, sa, ni, dha, pa, ma, ga, re, sa. One more thing. this Maya Malalola has given birth to few ragas like the Gauri or Malahari. The place of Rishabha is different compared to Saveri. If I prolong the Rishabha, Sari, it becomes Gauda. Shri Maha, it is in Gauda. So when I start to sing the raga of Saveri, I should be very cautious to catch the perfect Rishabha of Saveri. Sari. So with this, I will try to explore the very important and very rare phrases which are found in this particular Kruti, Karikala Bharmukam by Sri Muthuswami Dikshita. This Karikala Bharmukam starts with the Tarasthai. When compared to other composers, few compositions like Sri Swati Tirunal Maharaja's Bhavayami Raghuramam in Saveri. Bhavayami Raghuramam Sare Ma Papa. Then when we sing Shankari Shankuru Chandramukhi, then also the Grahaswara is from the medium octave. It starts from Shadja. So it's always denoted that Saveri Raga's Grahaswara, the starting note is Shadja, are somewhere from the medium octave. But as an example, Sri Dikshita has used the Tarasthai Shadja as the Grahaswara, the starting note for Saveri in this particular Kruti. So he says, Kari Kala Bharmukam Dundi Ganesham Bhajare Rechita. So we can see the prayoga of there is Kari. So starting from Daivata for Saveri is a very rare experience and rare experiment. So I will just few lines of the Sahitya Bhava I am going to explain. It is Karikala Bharmukam. As we all know, Kari is an elephant. Kala is with Kale are the beautiful elephant. Beauty personified in the form of an elephant. Bharmukam. Bha is a vast sky. Mukam, all of us know, it is face. So this Dundi Ganesha is having a beautiful, huge face like an elephant. The first line of this composition clearly says that Ganapati is an epitome of energy. So Bharmukam. When we start to analyze the phrases which are used for Alapana in this first, the very first line of this composition, there is Kari Kala Bharmukam. So in this composition, Dikshita never gives the first Sangati of Pallavi as starting of Alapana. All of us know we have 4 stages of Alapana. So the Akshipika portion, when we start the Alapana, and it goes on, Vidari is the last stage of Alapana, the ending. So Dikshita gives us the phrases to fill up in between the Alapana. The second and the third stage in between the Alapana, it is the Raga Krama, the Raga Alapana Krama as described in ancient texts. So this, especially this particular phrase in the Pallavi says, the next line, see the beautification, the intelligent way of Sri Muthuswami Dikshita using these very rare phrases of Saveri. So when we sing the Alapana for Saveri, this particular phrase, if it is repeated again and again, the beauty of the raga and the proper lakshan of the raga is well portrayed. Dundi is a place in Tamil Nadu where a small temple of Lord Ganapati is situated. So there the Kaveri river flows near the just opposite the temple. So Dundi Ganesham, it clearly depicts that Sri Dikshitar had visited this Dundi place, and in front of Dundi Ganesha he has composed this. So we can I am really amazed how beautifully Dikshitar has incorporated the Kshetra Mudra, Dundi Ganesham, Bhajare Chitta. Then the next line, Kaveri Tadasthitam. So this Kaveri, the river Kaveri is flowing in front of Lord Ganapati. That is Nitya Abhisheka. 24 hours he is taking the Abhishekam from holy Kaveri water. Saveri Raganutam. So in the next line itself we can see the Raga Mudra. Kaveri Tadasthitam. The flow of the river Kaveri, the water flow, it is always oscillating. So he says Tada. We see the Kampita Gamaka there. Sthitam, very strongly standing there. Nobody can shake him, touch him. Saveri, the proper usage of Jaru Gamaka. Saveri Raganutam. Here is a point to be discussed, a small point. When we sing this particular phrase, it should be. I have heard few people singing Padani Padama, and I think Sri Dikshitar has very particularly uses this phrase quite often in this composition. Padama, to symbolize the importance of this phrase. Padama, in Saveri there is no Nishada in the Arohana. So Dikshitar very cleverly suggests that Padama is the most apt phrase or Sanchara Sangati for Saveri. So this is the Pallavi aspect. Then coming to the Anupallavi, Dikshitar says Hari Haradi. It is Hari Haradi Sakaladeva. From the beginning of the Anupallavi until here, it is a very general phrase. It's a very general flow of the raga. And here a very special prayoga is used. See the beauty of Dama with a little Kampita Gamaka. If I sing like this, Damada, so Saveri is not portrayed well there. So instead of singing the swaras, if we follow the intervals between two swaras, that is Anuswara, that's how we get the swaras. Shrutis give lead to swaras and swara to raga, and ragas are used in compositions. All of us know about that. So instead of singing a single note, a straight note, when Dikshitar has given us such a beautiful phrase, so singer, a musician, when singing the Alapana of Saveri, if this phrase is frequently used, it will be a very beautiful experience for the singer and also for the listeners. So that's a very difficult gamka. One can practice that and make it themselves. So next line is Padam. It is very rarely heard, this phrase, even this phrase. Then So who is Girije? She is Parvati. Girija stays in Giri. That's how she gets the name Girija, other name of Parvati. So Giri is above the ground level. So when we sing Giri, Dikshita's experiment to put the word Giri in a higher note. Girija Girija Tanujam is Lord Ganapati. Vijitamanasidam Padasa Padama. Again, that prayoga of Padasa Padama becomes very prominent in the Alapana of Saveri Raga. He is elder to Lord Subramanya. So Guru Bhuhagrajam, the composer's Ankita is also well portrayed there. So this is about the Palvi and Anupali aspects and the phrases which can be taken for Alapana from Saveri. This composition's charana is quite elaborate. So in this elaborate Sahitya Bhaga, Shri Dikshita has really portrayed the phrases which can be used for Alapana in a very good manner. The charana starts. That Mooladhara is a very intricate phrase. Mama Mooladhara Again, that Nishada is Vrajja there. Then Modaka Hastam, Munijana Tutkamalastam. And in this Sahitya, if you take the last portion, so that Ardra Bhava, it melts the heart of the Muni Jana who are doing all tapassu to please Lord Ganapati. And Ganapati being a very huge person in his physique, even he has to become Ardra to enter the Kamalastam, the one who resides in the hearts of all Munis, all saints. So here Kamalastam means the garland of lotus flowers all around the neck of Sri Ganapati, Kamalastam. Then Pashankushadharam Sumukham. Pashankushadharam. Then it is Karuna Sandram, it is regular Saveri is sung there. Again, Sundaram, it is also in higher pitch. When you come to the Madhyamakala Sahitya of this composition, we can say Neelagriva Kumaru. Neelagriva. Neelagriva is Shrikantha, Neelakantha. So Griva Kumaram, he is the son of Lord Shrikantha. Then Neeraja Shobhaharam. Again Neeraja is Kamala. Shobhaharam, who is his beauty is explored. The Lord Ganapati's beauty is explored when he waves the garland of pink lotus flowers. So here Neelagriva Kumaram Padasa Shobhaharam. Here is a little elongated swara. Pama Pama Padama Shobhaharam. When we sing the Alapana, Tadarina Tadarina. With that key phrase, Shobhaharam, we can go on adding more and more phrases and make it a big phrase of Saveri. So the hint is given which phrase is most suitable for Saveri Raga and also to explain the characteristics of Lord Ganapati. Then the last few lines, Palita Bhattam Sari mama papa tadari na 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 Harita bhattam dheerama param varam sanipada. So when we sing the Avarona Alapana in Saveri, we have heard many musicians, great musicians, taking all these phrases and using these phrases to portray the best effect of Saveri. The last word is Varam Varam. Varam Varam. So, by analyzing the intricate phrases and the Sangatis followed in that, the Sahitya Bhava and Sangita Bhava, that is Matu and Dhatu of any composition, we can see lots of examples for singing the Alapana in a better way, for analyzing the Raga in a very vast sense. There is no limit for Manodharma Sangeeta, all of us know. Today I may sing Saveri in this, tomorrow I can hear some other musician or someone singing Saveri in a different aspect, different perspective. So we should always focus on learning as many as compositions in Saveri or Dhanyasi, difficult ragas like this, or Suruti even, or Edukula Kamboji, of various other composers. See, Tyagaraja would have used one raga in a different perspective, and also Dikshitar or Shama Shastri or Mysore Vasudevacharya or even Mysore Maharaja, Jayachamrendra Madiyar, and also Swati Tirunar, and it goes on. All the composers have used all the ragas of Carnatic music, be it Janaka Arjanya, and try to give us their perspective and their experience and their Antargata Anandam, Chidanandam through these compositions. They never sat with paper and pen. It is so impromptu. They started singing. Just the singing was done there in front of the gods. So with these words, I am concluding my talk today. I had a lot of things to say, but it's only 15 minutes. I could say few things, and I hope I did a little justice to my presentation. And before ending up, I would like to thank Dr. Subbulakshmi, who is the HOD, Dean and Music Professor of Wales University, Madras, Tamil Nadu, and all her faculty members and all the authorities and also the good audience, August gathering here today, for lending me your ears and making me present this small paper. Thank you one and all, and have a great day ahead. Thank you. Namaskar.
Thank you so much, madam. Now, I would like to request you all to please take a 5-minute break and rejoin on the Skype session. We have the time limit running out, and also we would like to send the e-journal copy to everybody during this time with your emails, and we will come back in 5 minutes. Thank you. Welcome back, everybody. Thank you so much for coming back to our webinar session, the session 2. We start with the presentation from Dr. Dwarita Vishwanatha, Director of Nirmiti, an Abode of Arts and Culture from Karnataka. Her topic today will be Heroes of Nayikas. Welcome, madam.
Namaste. I am Dr. Dwarita Vishwanath, here to present a paper on Heroes of the Nayakas. Before I commence my paper, I would like to thank the management of Vistas and Dr. Subbulakshmi, Director, School of Music and Fine Arts, Vistas, for having given me this opportunity to present my paper here. In dance, we often find that the majority of the pieces are based on the Nayikas. The unparalleled classification of the Nayikas stand testimony to this fact. Nayikas are often seen classified based on their birth, their characteristics, their marital status, their divinity community and often in the situation that they find themselves. An example of that is the Ashtanayika Avasthas based on the situations that the Nayika find themselves in. But these Ashtanayika Avasthas are not found for men. Men are normally classified based on their heroic qualities and their marital status. But what about the Shringara Avasthas? Can't men be put in the same avastha? Extensive literature stands testimony that men can also be found in these 8 avasthas. Though the Shastras have not explicitly named these avasthas and defined them, the Nayakas are found in these avasthas all throughout the literature. We find the Nayakas in these avasthas in Gita Govindam, in different Kshetranyar Padams, in Nayaka Javalis, in Tirukkural, in Tolkappiyam, in Amarushatakam, and so on. Shatabdani, Dr. R. Ganesh, has done a pioneering effort in classification of the Nayakas. He has delineated and exemplified these Nayakas. The aim of this paper is not to delineate and classify the Nayakas, but to find out the relationship between the traditional Nayika avasthas and their possible male counterparts. Before we go on to finding the relationship between these, it is important to understand the traditional Nayaka avasthas first. The Nayakas have been classified into Dhira Nayakas, the Dhirodatta, Dhira Uddhata, Dhira Lalita, and Dhira Shanta. Dhirodatta is the noble Nayaka filled with sattva. Dhira Uddhata is a Rajoguna Nayaka. Dhira Lalita is that Nayaka who is sportive and is interested in arts. And Dhira Shanta is the Nayaka filled with Shanta. The other classification that is found is the Shringara Nayaka, the Anukula Nayaka who is very faithful to his wife, the Dakshina Nayaka who is unpartial towards his wives, the Drishta Nayaka who goes to another girl without the knowledge of his lady, and the Shata Nayaka who, after having gone to another lady, comes back and flaunts the love marks. Nayakas are also classified based on their marital status: Pati, the husband; Upapati, the paramour; and Vaishya, the one who goes to a sadharana stri. When we consider Nayakas based on their Nayikas, then there are 2 ways we can classify them. One is a counterpart and the other is a parallel. For example, there is a Nayika who is angry, a Khandita Nayika. So her counterpart would be a man who appeases her. When one person is angry, the other person appeases. A parallel would be a man who is also angry. So the Nayika is angry and the Nayaka is angry. So there are 2 ways of looking at a Nayika avastha. We will start with the Vaskasajja Nayika. So Vaskasajjika Nayika is one who dresses up, who decorates her place and awaits her lord's arrival. The 11th Ashtapadi, Dhira Samire Yamuna Tire. Krishna decorates the place and waits for Radha's arrival, says the Sakhi. Rachayati Shayanam Sachakita Nayanam Pashyati Tava Panthanam. He sees your way, oh Radha. He is ready the bed for you, says the Sakhi. So this is a parallel of a Vaskasajjika Nayika. When you think of the counterpart, you have a Dakshina Nayaka, that is a Nayaka who has many wives. So today is her turn, so he will be coming to her place. Or a Drishta Nayaka where he goes to many women's house and he happens to come to her house here today. Or a Shata Nayaka. Another Nayaka possibility is a Pantha Nayaka. That is the Nayika is awaiting her hero who has gone on a travel. So he is to come back and she is awaiting him. So the Nayika who has gone on a travel, the Pantha Nayika. Dr. R. Ganesh gives a new variety of the Nayaka, the Bhamini Bhita Nayaka. The Bhamini Bhita Nayaka is that Nayaka who has gone to another lady's house. Okay? And he is aware that the Nayika is aware of his infidelity. So he is scared, Bhita, of the Bhamini. So we have a very traditional padam from by Kshetranya, Manchidina Munede in Ragamananda Bhairavi, where the Nayaka has gone to another girl and has come back. And the Nayika says, today is the right day, ask him to come. But he is scared, so he is Ponchi Juchina. He is hiding himself and watching the Nayaka. So this is a Bhamini Bhita. The next Nayika Avastha is a Virabha Kantita. So there are two ways of looking at the Nayaka here. One is that Nayaka who is not interested in the heroine as much as what she loves him. So he is not bothered. He is a Drishta or a Shata Nayaka. He is not in Viraha. He is happy when she is not around. The other variety is a Virahi Nayaka. This Virahi Nayaka is also in Viraha. So he is both a parallel and a counterpart of a Virabha. So she is in Viraha here and he is in Viraha there. So a beautiful Kshetranya Padam as an example, Ragam Kamboji, Yeni Seyadu, Moha Metuvalle Tiruna, Bhamini Mani, Yavadu Todite Chero. What am I to do? How to fulfill this passion? Who is there to fetch you here, O gem of a woman? Says the Nayaka. The next Nayika Avastha is a Vipralabdha Nayika. So we have a wide variety of Nayakas for a Vipralabdha Nayika. When you divide, it can be seen that there is one Nayaka who loves her and another who is cheating her. So the one who loves her could, a Vipralabdha Nayika is that Nayika who has gone to a tryst in search of her lover, and since he has not arrived, is dejected and feels cheated. So if the Nayaka is unable to come because of a genuine reason, he could probably be a king and he's caught up somewhere and he can't come to her. If that is the case, then he loves her. He's in Viraha there probably, but here she doesn't know, so she feels cheated. And then like what we see in many movies and serials, the Nayaka and the Nayika have a miscommunication. They have gone to a different tryst. There is a misunderstanding there. So then the Nayika has gone to a different tryst and the Nayaka is in another place. Both of them are in the Vipralabdha Avastha. That Nayaka has been termed as a Nirikshaka Nayaka by Dr. R. Ganesh. He is waiting for her in a different place and she is waiting for him in a different place. And both of them think that each other cheated upon them. Another variety that we can see is the Nayaka who loves her yet cheats her for fun. So along with the Sakhis, that Nayaka cheats upon this Nayika. There is a famous Kshetranya Padam, Mosam Buchiramma Magavani. Oh my dear, I have been cheated. My friends have all come together and passed him off for a woman. So the friends dress him up as a lady and then send him in front of the Nayika. She is not aware that it is her Nayaka, so she is cheated, feels dejected and she is still in sadness. Sometimes the Nayaka, without the Sakhis, probably he's hiding and just for fun, he cheats her. So there is also another variety of Nayaka that we can see where the Nayaka genuinely does not love her and he cheats upon her. And that Nayaka would be a Drishta or a Shata Nayaka for a Vipralabdha Nayaka. The next Nayika is a Khandita Nayika. So a parallel of a Khandita Nayika would be a Kupita Nayika. That is, she is angry, he is also angry. Here it is very important to note that not all angry heroes are Kupita heroes, Kupita Nayakas. Because if a man is fighting in the war field and he is angry, that is not Shringaravastha, right? So there is no, that is not a Kupita Nayaka. That's a Raudra Rasa there. An interesting point to note here is that there aren't any explicit literature on Kupita Nayakas. But we find a lot of Padavarnams where the Kupita Nayaka is implied. Chalamela, Jayasevaya, he is angry. So she is asking, why are you angry? Kopamu yake. So again there also, he is angry and she is indicating that. So that is a parallel of a Khandita Nayaka. The counterpart would be the Nayaka who appeases his angry lady. The Narma Prasadhaka Nayaka. The 19th Ashtapadi, Priye Charushile, is an example of the Narma Prasadhaka Nayaka. This avastha can be called as a navastha which is post the Bhamini Bita. That is, he has gone somewhere and he has angered her. So he is scared of coming in front of her. Then he comes in front of her and she is angry. She is a Khandita Nayaka. She is angry and then he tries and appeases her. So this avastha, the Nayaka avastha, is post the Bhamini Bita avastha. The next Nayaka avastha is the Kalahantarita avastha. So here we can divide the Nayaka into two types. The Nayaka who is not bothered about the Nayika. So Kalahantarita avastha is when the Nayika was angry with him and the Nayaka, she scolds him and the Nayaka goes away and then she repents for her action. She feels sorry and is filled with repentance. So the Nayaka who has gone away is very happy that she is not around. So he could be a Drishta or a Shata Nayaka, or he could be there and repenting that he shouldn't have probably angered her. So that is a Kalahantarita Nayaka. The second Ashtapadi, Mamiyam Chalita Vilokya, is an example of the Kalahantarita Nayaka, where he is thinking, oh, I shouldn't have done that. If I had not, then she would have been happier. The next Nayika avastha is the Proshita Patika avastha. So the Proshita Patika Nayika is the one who stays at home and her lord has gone on a journey. So the one who has gone on a journey, he could either be very happy because she is no more next to him and he could be enjoying with other people during his journey, wherein he is a Drishta or a Shaka Nayaka. Or he could be a Pantha Nayaka who is also filled with Viraha as he is travelling away from his Nayaka. The Yaksha of the Meghadutam, written by Kalidasa, is a brilliant example of a Pantha Nayaka. So this is a counterpart. That is, she is here in Viraha and he is travelling and he is thinking of her and he is also in Viraha. But when we think of a parallel, that is the Nayaka being at home and the Nayika travelling, this is something that wasn't found in the literature earlier. Of course, these days we have a lot of writers coming up with new literature based on these themes. But it's not a new situation either. Just to remind you, in olden days, the newly married couple, the Nayika would be taken away to her parental home during Adi, or what you call the Ashada month. So the Nayika is a Proshitapati. Or if there is a marriage or Upanayana in the house, the lady of the house would go there, stay there with her parents or parents-in-law or whatever and help for the marriage or the function that's coming up. Again, the Nayaka is a Proshitapati. So So the situation is not unimaginable. It was there even from then, but then there is no literature. I haven't come across any literature in the older genre, but new writers are writing. The next Nayika is an Abhisarika Nayika. So Abhisarika is that Nayika who goes to the tryst in search of her lover. So there is an Abhisarana involved, her going. So because she is going, she is imagining that he is there. The Nayaka is waiting for her. So the Nayaka who is waiting for her is a parallel of a Vaskasajika. The 11th Ashtapadi Dhira Samire, he is waiting for the Abhisarika, right? So that is a counterpart of an Abhisarika Nayika. When you think of a parallel, when the Nayika is going towards a place, then the Nayaka is also coming towards that place. So there is an Abhisarana from the Nayika's point of view. There is an Abhisarana from the Nayaka's point of view too. So an Abhisaraka Nayaka will be the counterpart of an Abhisarika Nayika. But this hero is not celebrated much in the literature, because in olden days women would hardly step out of the house. So for her to go out and meet somebody would be a very, very big thing. She would have to dissuade the people, manage things at home, and then go and meet her lover, wherein a man would always be on the move. So for him to meet his lady love would be an easy thing. So this Nayaka is not celebrated much in the literature. The last Nayika is the Swadhinapatika Nayika. The Nayika who is in love with her hero. She is confident of his love on her too. The parallel and the counterpart of a Swadhinapatika Nayika is a Kanta Vidheya Nayaka. The 23rd Ashtapadi is a brilliant example of a Kanta Vidheya Nayaka. Concluding, it is important to understand the counterpart and parallel of a Nayika, as it can be incorporated during choreography for better characterization. While looking at the Nayaka Avasthas, it is very important to take care of the other characteristics of the Nayaka also. The presentation of a Dhira Uddhata Nirikshaka Nayaka, a Dhira Uddhata Nirikshaka Nayaka will be very different from the presentation of a Dhira Lalita Nirikshaka Nayaka. So a deep understanding is required to facilitate better presentation and performance. I thank the management of Vistas and Dr. Subbulakshmi, the Director of Music and Fine Arts, Vistas, for having given me this wonderful opportunity. I also thank each and every one of you who was present here for your time and your encouragement. Namaste.
Thank you so much, madam. Our final presenter for this morning's webinar is Dr. Maya Rajesh. She is the founder of Nrityanjali Kalakshetra, Kerala. I would like to invite her to present on her topic today, use of eyes in Mohiniyattam. Welcome, madam.
Namaste. Warm welcome to everyone at present here. Today's subject is application of eyes in the art of Mohiniyattam. Mohiniyattam, once prevalent as a dance form, have had lost its real form and content when it became a subject of study at the Kerala Kalamandalam. Mohiniyattam had to pass through certain evolutions again at Kalamandalam under the guidance of Mahakavi Vallathol Narayana Menon in order to make it laudable dance that is aesthetically appreciable and delightful. Though Mohiniyattam that had begun to be taught along with other dance forms, and though it might have had the influence of other classical dances in its growth, this art form had its own style techniques and repertoire. As necessitated by the taste of changing times, Mohiniyattam also had undergone through reconstructions similar to those classical and scientific lines which have been wrought in other parallel classical dance forms of India during post-independence period. Similarly, Mohiniyattam also adopted all the relevant techniques prescribed in the expounded by the classic dance texts like Natyashastra, Hastalakshana Deepika, Balarama Bharata, etc. to be applied in the action of the major and minor limbs. As far as every living creature is concerned, the eyes become the most significant member of its body in the enjoyment of the visual arts. For both the connoisseur and the artist concerned, the most important means of conveyance of ideas as well as the rapport between them are the eyes themselves. The eyes have an unmistakable power to express the heart's emotions and the thoughts of the mind faster and clearer than any other part of the human body. It is commonplace to find around us that eyes shed tears when people are afflicted by unbearable sorrow, and the color of eyes turns red when one gets angry. The sight of eyelashes getting wet with tears of joy is also a familiar sight. So, eyes are the media that can convey human passions most immediately. In Mohiniyattam's style of dancing and acting, as far as the major and minor limbs of the body are concerned, it is the power of eyes that play very prominent role in expressing the sentiments, that is rasabhiniya, that is moving the eyeballs, eyelids and eyebrows, that is netrabhiniya, stood more corrected according to the rules specified in the text. The performing arts like Mohiniyattam, the dancers depends mostly on their eyes in order to put across or convey the ideas in their minds to the spectators and connoisseur with confidence. As far as a danseuse is concerned, there is no relevant place for her voice in the presentation of her performance. In taking her ideas and artistic emotions, she silently gives her vibrant and vivacious eyes the place of sound. Her voiceless silence becomes very eloquent because of her gifted eyes. All the classical dances of India that there is a definite or specific method for the practice of the human eyes, and as such it is an independent discipline we call Chitta itself. Among these Indian performing arts, it is the performing arts of Kerala that show a correct understanding of the power of eyes and the innumerable possibilities for the eyes to express every subtle nuance of ideas. The other minor limbs also help the spectators to comprehend and discern the expressions or sentiments that appear and fade quickly in the eyes of the artist. The hand gestures means Hasta Mudras play a very remarkable part because a singular gesture itself in its specific way is quite capable of suggesting and conveying many meanings. They must certainly be accompanied by the appropriate movements of the eyes, which should not be in any way strike any discordant note with what a hand gesture stood for. All hand gestures get the consummate or complete meaning only when the eye movements support them suitably. Example: this is Suji Mudra. We use the same mudra in different meanings with the different eye movements. First one, you. To show one who is too cruel. Second, there. In Nritya or in the art of expressing the emotions, the most important member of the human body is the face. And the most significant member on the face is nothing short of or other than the two eyes. The techniques of each dance form with its own specialities or specification of style are concerned with how this application of eyes is made use of in its histrionics. Example, when we show moon in Bharatanatyam, this is Chandrakala. Yes, just like that. In Mohiniyattam, we bend a little to the front and then looks at above. Eyes also follow the movements of the body and the hand gesture. The body movements and hand gestures devoid of facial expressions cannot evoke any aesthetic pleasure or satisfaction. This shows the paramount prominence of the eyes and the capacity of the eyes for creating beauty and causing delight. When the body movements of the major and minor limbs are also inclusive of the total acting, there is consummate perfection. It is like the moon during the night time. The absence of facial expressions in the movements cast by the other bodily limbs are as dull as the moon during the daytime. The facial expressions fulfill their destination only through the proper movements of the eyes. The motionless state of the eyeballs when they are lowered or declined from effective positions, they are not attractive as far as eyes are concerned just when they are used partially closed or completely closed on appropriate occasions. According to the context, the art form succeeds in presenting the right emotional expressions and unfailingly it creates the corresponding response in the spectators. The energy used in the movements can be described as organic and intended for an organic spectrum. Hence, the eye movements are not so purposefully sharp, so fast or kept artificiality open to seek the attention of the spectators. On the other hand, they were allowed to have easy and spontaneous play of the energy that enhances the easy movements of the body, and hence Mohiniyattam's Drishti Prayogas were very appropriate and they could impart adequate natural grace for the pure dance. Let's see the difference that occur in the movements of the eyes in Adavus, in Mohiniyattam and parallel form like Bharatanatyam. Both pure dance and acting are equally important in Bharatanatyam and Mohiniyattam. It is very obvious that the movements in pure dance the dancer takes in the Bharatanatyam are quicker and faster than they are in Mohiniyattam. Hence, the eye movements that accompany the foot movements show a wider difference in Mohiniyattam and Bharatanatyam. The pure dance of Bharatanatyam is done mainly in three tempi: Vilambam, Madhyam and Dhrutam. But the style of Bharatanatyam is unlike that of Mohiniyattam, in which the slowly done adavus that take longer time, keeping the same foot position, the dancer moves or sways the torso, giving the portion above the hips, upper part of the body, a wider volume. The dancer makes graceful movements covering a greater space around her, and here the eyes are eloquent that it moves fluidly and harmony with the above mentioned movements of body in space. This being absent in Bharatanatyam, in which the eyes remain in desired spots while the dancer performs the adavus. Example, in Bharatanatyam, Natadavu. Third Natadavu. Dhalan kutukutakatakatatakitatum te yum ta ta te yum ta ha. the eyes go the desired spots. In Mohiniyattam, the eye movements are continuous and never remain at certain points. Example, the fifth adavu. Tei, hi, ta, thi, tei, tei, hi, ta, tum, tum. In this, eyes go continuously in a semicircle. Even though not so wide as in Mohiniyattam Bhangis, the fluctuations of the body are done in Bharatanatyam with comparatively narrow fluctuations having only lesser volume. But those brilliant Nayana Prayogas are made in the same rhythmic movements on the feet. There is a narrowed restriction for the eye movement. In the brisk cholus or rhythmic syllables of the adavus of Bharatanatyam, at the time of the utterance of each rhythmic syllables, the feet, hands and the looks come in unison, reaching their intended places. This is because as a dance form, Bharatanatyam's aesthetics as far as its dynamics is concerned demands quick movements from the dancers. One has to note that this is not only typical in faster tempi, but it is applicable in slower tempo also. In Mohiniyattam, there is no place for the eye movements in straight linear manner as in Bharatanatyam. This is because in Mohiniyattam, the eye movements of the dancers take only curvilinear, circular and rolling movements in coordination with the movements of the other part of her body, which also moves in curvilinear patterns. They are forming perfect and partially perfect rounds, which are so organic and in perfect harmony with the natural and graceful body of the Mohiniyattam dances. So Mohiniyattam cannot have any kinship with angular body and visual manifestation. Hence, Mohiniyattam is bound to apply the canons of Natya Shastra in the case of the Nayana Abhinaya, which consists of mostly movements in pure dance, such as Brahmana. Brahmana means wheeling or rotating movements. Valana, triangular or revolving movements. Padana, falling or going down. Vivartana, turning sideways. And Samudrutva, raising up, shown in the histrionic functions of the dancer's eyes. These form vocabulary of the movements of Mohiniyattam, in which the role of eyes of the dancer assumes the great significance. Concluding my words, the acting of the eyes, known as Nayana Prayoga, is very important in all kinds of abhinayas and all kinds of adavus in Mohiniyattam. In the swinging or swaying movements of Mohiniyattam, the support of the eye movements are absolutely essential, and hence it becomes quite necessary or inevitable to take regular exercises of the eyes at the galleries attached to the institutions like the Kalamandalam. Thank you.
Thank you so much, madam. I would like to again thank Dr. Subbalakshmi madam, our director, for coordinating this webinar and successfully completing 5 webinars, and today the 6th one being a national webinar. I would like to thank Dr. S. Sriman Narayanan sir for accepting to receive the first copy of our journal today. I would also like to thank our panelists for today, Dr. S. N. Sushila, Dr. Dwarita Vishwanatha, and Dr. Maya Rajesh. Thank you so much, madams, for accepting our invitation and presenting today. I would also like to thank all our panelists till now who have been so kind to send us the journal articles and who have been instrumental in getting this together. I would also like to thank our own departments, Babu sir, Sophia madam, and all of those involved in getting this e-journal printed and released today. I would also again like to thank the management members of Vistas for their kind support, the Vice Chancellor, Pro Vice Chancellor, Registrar, Controller of Examinations, and all the staff and everybody who have given us extreme encouragement and guidance for these webinars. I would also like to thank all of you for taking time to come for this webinars continuously for all our webinars and today spending your mornings with us. Thank you so much. We will again meet you for our next webinar in the month of December. Thank you very much and have a good day. Namaskarams.